You know what movie I watch for New Year's that's typically watched at Christmas, but it's a New Year's movie for me.
What movie is that?
It's A Wonderful Life.
That is a classic.
I don't know why.
That's a classic.
It's a Christmas movie.
It's a classic.
Oh, it's such a good movie. Such a good movie.
Listen, it is an absolute classic. If you've not seen it ever, then you've not watched movies, like especially during Christmas time. And I would wonder about your ability to really be able to discern,
appreciate
the
history of cinema.
Oh, come on, man!
But no, for some reason, like we don't watch it before Christmas. Now,
really?
We've had Christmas. We're coming to the end. It's hard to believe. There's only a couple years left in 2023.
Man,
but we save it for Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
I mean New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So we watch it I don't know why.
Yeah. But
we watch It's a Wonderful Life every New Year's Eve.
Really?
Yeah.
That's going to be really, that's really interesting. Like, how long have y'all started that tradition?
I don't know. And I feel like we've been doing it for 10 years. Was it
something that started or led to it?
Yeah, Chris and I were, honestly, we make a list of movies we'd like to watch during the Christmas season that we're not going to watch any other time of the year.
Yeah.
And we didn't get through the list one year, probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
And we didn't get to that one.
Yeah.
Which was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And so we just, by default, ended up watching it on New Year's Eve. And it just kind of felt good.
Yeah.
So we kept that tradition.
That's really something. You know what? I was doing my New Year's Eve time, early on in our marriage, really honestly, throughout our entire marriage, we were at church,
Oh, that's right. Watch night services.
Yes, man, yes.
If for those of you that don't know, there is a strong tradition in the Black church.
It is. It's called Watch Night
service.
Hey, listen, it is the sacred service, man.
Yes.
And it does not matter if New Year's Eve is on a Saturday night. You're going to still have Watch Night service, which, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what that is a service in the Black church that starts at 10 p.m. You heard me correctly, 10 p.m. and it goes all the way to midnight. We count down and we bring in the new year in God's house.
Yeah.
And as a youth pastor, I could just tell you.
It sounds like a middle school lock-in that got saved.
You know what?
That's Watch Night service.
It was like that in me.
The middle school lock-in walked the aisle and gave its life to Jesus and became the Watch Night service.
Now here's the thing. This is what happens when you have a senior pastor who was your youth pastor growing up, because that's what my pastor knew. Lock-ins and overnighters. So he was super comfortable in that. And so what we would do, our teen department. I get this, man. So this is why for all of you youth pastors out there who talk about you working hard, let me tell you, you're doing a lot of events, man. I know some events and working hard, but we would have to, Brent, whenever New Year's Eve would fall on Saturday night, Sunday morning, we would do a lock-in, fix breakfast, and do a Sunday morning service too.
That's torture.
And so it was painful.
The Lord's not happy with that, I can tell you. I forgot about those Watch Night services, man.
Oh, listen, I have not. So I say that to say that I
feel like you're born again now that you're not doing those anymore.
Okay, real talk, and I know we got to get to ourselves, but I'm telling you, when we first moved down to Orlando, me, Quo, and Cameron, we were just kind of sitting around like, what do we do? Like, it was New Year's Eve and we're
plenty.
Like, yeah, exactly. So Quo gets on, she's like, great family things. She had to put in family things to do in Orlando for New Year's Eve, and a lot of things popped up. We actually went to SeaWorld our first New Year's Eve to see the fireworks.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Didn't that become a tradition for y'all?
It did. And so, man, but yeah.
Are y'all going this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we are. And so, but yeah, man, so no, I say that to say no fun movie.
Yeah.
We were always at Watch Night service.
That's right. Whew, Watch Night service.
Yes. Well, I say Merry Christmas, post-Christmas.
Post-Christmas?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
did you have a good one?
We did, bro. It was a good opportunity. We went to go see Mama, and, because she, guilted me into it. And,
Mama Wallace, I'd come see you no matter what.
Oh, listen, that's because, ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know I have 3 other biological siblings, but Brent is really my mama's favorite.
I'm adopted.
But he's the favorite, and she has asked about she has all of your books like in our bookshelf in our room and stuff, and you can see she has a little bookmarks and all the stuff. So she's a fan. But anyway, yes, we went to be in Atlanta. My middle son got him a promotion. Praise the Lord. He is now store manager over at Comcast Xfinity. So, and he moved into a new apartment, really nice apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked,
he's manager
yeah,
now.
he is.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I said, I just want to make sure you're not going to ask me for anything. Like when you sign this lease, you sign this lease with the understanding that everything you're covering. So got a chance. We actually spent the night at CJ's place, and we all kind of had breakfast there in his little 1-bedroom apartment. It's pretty spacious, and but we just bunked. We had air mattresses and did that, and so I got to see my mom and my siblings. Had time with Quo, myself, and the boys, and then we went to see her family. So it was a very eventful.
Yes, sir.
Eventful Christmas. What about you guys? How was your Christmas? Man?
Eventful in a different way. We obviously, if you're just tuning in, I have 6 kids ranging.
Yes,
from,
you do.
ranging from 8 years old to 18 years old.
Bless you. And cattle, by the way.
And cows and donkeys and chickens and ducks and everything else. But yeah, no. So we just mass chaos with that many kids, and you get all the different. What I love about this phase of life is my youngest children, my 8 and my 10-year-old. So much magic at Christmas, so much wonder. And some of my older teenagers are now helping to facilitate that magic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they're like helping to lead out on some of those traditions. And so
that's so cool.
It's cool to see that element at work.
Yeah.
So it's lots of fun, lots of paper, lots of shouting, lots of chaos, lots of food.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see we've got to this phase where, like we were we were doing a family outing, about a week or so before Christmas, and I looked up and Gabriel, my oldest, had Ari girl, my youngest, on, and she was standing on his shoes, and they were dancing. He was, dancing with her, and there was like a Christmas song, and it was just
that's so cool.
And they didn't know anybody could see him, and I just tapped my wife's shoulder and we turned back, and I mean it was just looked at it, and we're at that phase where they're like trying to help facilitate some of those memories.
And I love you guys do a really cool like little deal as far as events leading up to Christmas and stuff, and so what's some of the fun things that y'all kind of like really enjoy as a family?
We create the 12-day. We do our version of a 12 days of Christmas, and the kids get to pick what those are every year. But and it started really, Jeff, out of the tradition of and Chris did something like this in her home growing up. Yeah. But, you and I are on the road a lot, and we're gone from our families a lot.
Yep.
And so I make a big deal out of being home between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so that's when we do our 12 days. So it's just 12 activities we do as a family. It might be going to pick out an ornament, or there's a baking day, or we'll go to one of the theme parks in our city, or, I would say the biggest one that all 6 kids would agree on is my wife will put on what's called she calls it her Polar Express party.
Oh man, I love it.
And it obviously revolves around the movie The Polar Express, but she has created an entire menu of things themed around the movie.
Yeah.
She bakes for a couple days leading up to it. She's got a little wooden train set from the Polar Express.
Oh,
she
man, that's dope.
She makes some tickets.
That's dope.
I love
and
it's her party she puts on for the kids, and it's called a Polar Express party. And it's just a great tradition. The movie actually is not even the biggest deal. It's just the silly fun things we do around it.
Yeah, shout out to Mama Chris. She is amazing, man. She is the GOAT, bro. She's amazing. So that's awesome. Well, bro, it's
been a year
at the end.
Hard to believe.
Of 2023. Right, it is so much that has happened, this last year. And as it's been our tradition here on our podcast, and we appreciate all of our listeners, really kind of commenting and loving when we get to do what we're about to do today. Yeah. It's our tradition just kind of to recap, some of the major milestones or moments of the year, but then also, let's ask some questions too about around that. And so we think about, how to encapsulate, in a few moments of 2023, a crazy year, man. What do you think, man? What do you think about how do we kind of look at a snapshot of this past year.
Yeah.
You know, and recap it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's healthy for any leader to reflect. Mm-hmm. If there's not margin in the journey to reflect, then you're probably operating with some blind spots that you will be habitually unaware of. And so the ability to reflect is vitally important. And that's, we don't do this conversation every year because it's the thing to do. We do it because a rhythm of reflection is vital to the journey.
Absolutely.
It honors the Lord.
Yeah.
And so when I look back at this year, and you're right, it was a blur.
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten used to saying or writing 2023, and it's already almost 2024.
Right.
So like that's how you know it was such a blur. But there was quite a few trials on a personal level this year. But the truth of the matter is, Jeff, if I had to look back at our ministry, it's the year of God did exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever ask or imagine. It's the year of miracles.
It is, brother.
And I don't use that word. As a Baptist, forgive me if that offends you, but I am, or at least very Baptistic in my theology.
We are. It's all good.
But don't stereotype me though. Don't be a sinner. But I don't use that word lightly. Mm-hmm. But there really was a miraculous theme to this year for us at SeaWorld.
Yeah. And Brent, I know you've already just mentioned it, but you're right, man. I just want to echo that sentiment of just like, I'm always at awe of the Lord, how he has he continues, to bless our ministry and our organization and the things that we get to do, how we get to help students tell a different story with their life, and how we get to interact with Christian schools and churches and organizations and other parachurch ministries and organizations around the world, man. Right. And the fact that the Lord will smile on us to allow us to continuously do that, and I'm not just saying this because we're on the team, but I think we do it with excellence, and we're very intentional when we're in the shop of asking our team. If
we don't do it with excellence, it's not for lack of try.
Is that right? Yeah, but the Lord, man, has really blessed us, and so, man, when you think, as vice president of our organization, man, when you think about 2023, what for you are some highlights?
Well, I am a scoreboard kind of guy.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I know our founder, Dr. J, says a lot of times. It's one of the things that he's ingrained into my thinking. Numbers matter, and where you land matters.
Yep.
And we just had a great season this year of people who had a strong appetite for how do I get a 15 to 20 year head start, how to think and dream and lead at the feet of Jesus. And so 101, our number, it was one of our largest years ever.
Wow.
And half of them sold out.
Yeah.
201 sold out in a day.
It did.
301 was sold out in 4 days with a wait list.
It was less than a week. I remember that.
I mean, it was, so everything was full. Everything was, from an SLU standpoint, 101 through 401. Now 401 was a moderately full trip. It wasn't like a completely full trip, but it was, I'd say, moderately full because of how we cap things. When you do international trips, you cap by charter buses and things like that. And so it was, but it was just healthy.
Yeah.
And so it was but in the midst of all that, you go, how? Those are selling out. We're looking at, you look up and you go, I didn't know that week was already full. It's crossed out.
Yeah.
And half the time I found out because a youth pastor would call or text me and be like, I can't get in that week.
Same.
And so it was just a beautiful thing to see that, because when you put a lot of energy and time and invest your life into something, to see it matter.
Yeah.
And probably the last about a week or so before Christmas, I was at one of our theme parks with my kids, and we were walking out. It was very late. It was after midnight.
Yeah.
We'd been playing hard.
Yeah.
And you get on a little tram thing to go to the parking lot, and the young lady who was working the tram just looked at me, and from a distance, and then she just came running up to me. She goes, and first thing she said is, I went all the way through 401.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome, man. That's so cool.
And it was just a reminder to me.
That's awesome.
And we talked for a while.
Yeah.
Like she's a student at Texas A&M doing the Disney College program here, and her youth pastor is a friend of both of ours, Jeff. And the reality is, to me, that was a microcosm. It was a small reminder of the big thing that God is doing,
absolutely,
and has been doing. And I don't think that we can talk about a year of miracles, Jeff, without talking about two things. One is the inside out strategy.
Yep.
And two is what the Lord did at SOU 101 Egypt.
Yeah. And I gotta say, man, personally, and I mean everybody's heard who follows us and knows our story, how the inside out, that whole strategy was birthed even before it officially got birthed, when you so graciously invited me and a couple of other youth pastors down from Atlanta, and we brought 250 plus students down, and to see my own students in my youth group, who for many of them, Brent, had never been on a bus, any theme park, let alone outside of their own zip code.
Right.
To move from a single story perspective, to really be challenged by the question, what would I do for the glory of God if I knew I would not fail? And to see the light bulb go off, for my own students, it was like, wow. And then fast forward to
from that conversation that led to that gathering,
exactly,
to now, since 2017, we've been able to fully scholarship over 600 under-resourced students to begin this journey, and many of them have continued on all the way through.
Yeah, from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to the Joyco on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Many others as well. But Jeff, it does my heart good. And to be quite honest with you, I think I would be very dissatisfied if we weren't doing that. And it's not we need to do that so that we're quote unquote giving back. No. We need to do that because our responsibility, our calling, what God has, the task I believe that God has given this ministry is to help a generation, wherever that generation may be.
Right.
And when we use the phrase under-resourced because we're not just talking about kids that live in the inner city.
Right, and they're not all African American.
They're not all African American. And we have a bunch of young men and women who grew up the way my grandmother grew up, and I'm going to use a derogatory phrase, in which she was called poor white trash.
Yeah.
And so we stay with that under-resourced phrase because wherever that is and that need is, we know that there's some leaders in there.
Absolutely.
How can we come alongside them?
Absolutely.
And help them get, so to cross that 600 number was fun. Was special. That was celebratory. In my mind.
Yeah.
And then
Egypt was crazy, man. Let me just tell you, you had talked about Egypt. You went first, came back, cast vision to our team and our organization, our board, and talked about it. And I was just excited to go just for the opportunity. But I have to admit, Brent, once our team landed there and we got boots on the ground and really began to see the impact of our ministry on these students and these young adults, and even some very important high level leaders in the region, man, it was unbelievable.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was miraculous. It really was. We had over 750 in the room. We had the conference SOU 101 aired on 5 different television stations, not just in Egypt but across North Africa. And so we had over 5,000 between our online numbers, and then we don't know how many watched on television.
Right.
There's no way to gauge that.
Exactly.
But just through Facebook Live and different things, we had over 5,000 on social.
Yeah.
We had it broadcast on 5 different stations. There were over 700, and these were students from all over the country.
Yeah.
Not just Cairo, not just the big city, not just Alexandria, but all over the country. And there was this moment at the end, which I know you were a part of, we were both a part of, in which we go, okay, just like we do in the States, but just like, okay, what's your dream? And it looks a little different in that context.
It does.
Most of the students I talked to wanted to see revival. They wanted an awakening in their land. And their dream was, God, use me. to do something, to see an awakening in my land,
Absolutely.
to see a revival, to see a people awaken to the goodness of God in Christ Jesus. Yeah. So there was this moment where there were literally hundreds of people.
It was.
Students.
Yeah, man.
On their face before God.
It was amazing.
Begging God to open up the window of heaven and to pour out a blessing until there is no more need.
Yeah, yeah.
And, according to them, that was the largest gathering of high school students that they know of in any recent history.
Yeah.
And it was just miraculous.
It was. And then you couple that with being able to go, on another day and invest in the lives of a couple hundred leaders, pastors that were there from all over the region. And we got a chance to host a pastors conference.
Yeah, that was fun.
There as well, man. And so it was amazing. And I will say the only unfortunate thing that happened was that, as I tried to enjoy the region on the camel.
I know what you're about to say.
And, I was
that
there.
video. We need to get that video up for everybody to see.
Yeah, and the video was for our Chasing Elephants audience. I was in the middle of the desert, friends, and I was about to I was actually in the process of taking a video to say, hey, Chasing Elephants, what's going on? I'm right here in the middle of the desert on a camel. And I get stung by the only bee, I think, in the entire...
In the desert? He got lost.
He did.
He got directions somewhere.
Yes,
is the Nile? No.
No.
And he zigged when he should have zagged.
Okay, am I in Cairo? Am I Alexandria? Where am I?
And he was like, man, I'm going down. I'm going to take somebody with me.
Listen, and I'm proud of myself because I didn't say a bad word.
You didn't?
I did not. And it's recorded, it's
proof.
I did. But in the middle of the desert, I got stung by a bee.
Yeah.
And then Nikki drugged me up with some Benadryl. And
you were out of it,
I was out of it.
I checked on you that evening.
You did.
You were out of it.
You did. But it was incredible, man. I agree with you. That Egypt event, Brent, was incredible. And praise God, they're asking us to come back.
It opened the door to do. The door opened to go, and the door flung wide for. And we'll be back next year with 101 and 201.
Yeah.
And then we continue to work with that great team, TC Egypt, to collab on what does it look like to create a full journey, a leadership journey for those amazing students in that country. Speaking of Chasing Elephants, we had over 60,000 downloads on Chasing Elephants this year.
Let's go.
Awesome.
Let's go. Thank you, guys.
We launched the Wander Box, so we wrote over 100,000 words.
You wrote. That's good. I appreciate the team's perspective, but we're going to keep it 100. You wrote.
So the Wander Box subscription is up and going, so we've passed the beta test phase.
Yeah.
And this blew me away, we have 181, mostly schools, but some churches too, using our School of Leadership curriculum.
Wow, that's great.
When we started the year, we only had a handful.
I know it.
And so it really took off this year. Took 2 years to create it, and then it really took off. So when I say the year of miracles, like most of what I said to you, Jeff, by way of numbers, I in my mind, the expectations were a lot lower, which shame on me.
Yeah.
Shame on me a little bit. But you're always trying to have a realistic goal because you want your team to feel good about the win and all these things. But it really was a year in which the Lord goes, no, I see it, and I'm going to raise you one.
Yeah, man, that's
it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, that's first. I'm hearing that School of Leadership numbers for the first time with you guys. That's incredible, man, and so that's amazing.
Okay, so that's the year. It was really a year of miraculous. It was the year of miracles. It was amazing to be a part of. I want us to now wrestle, Jeff, with 3 questions, and I think. Yeah. Part of reflecting, is to look back and acknowledge what God has done. But part of reflecting is also to think critically about yourself.
Yes. So
absolutely. That you step into a new year with another level of resolve, with a deepened commitment to the things of God. So anyways, there's 3 questions, and we can call them critical thinking questions, that I'm wrestling with, you're wrestling with as we walk into 24. Yeah. And I want us to answer them. As you walk into 2024, and I'll let you go first. But how are you different? That's question number 1. Yeah. Question number 2 is what have I learned? And question number 3 is what am I hoping for? So how are you different now? How are you a different Jeff Wallace now than at this moment last year?
Yeah. Well, I think, for me, as many of you know, this is the year I earned my doctorate.
Yeah.
And and I'm not different because of the three letters behind my name now. I'm different because of the sense of, man, I really can do hard things. It was a very difficult process, not just going through the process alone. I mean, because getting your doctorate is, I mean, that's, I won't talk about that, but but we were still, as you mentioned, in the midst of all of these events. And so it really, I learned about myself that I can, there's another gear of leadership within me when I'm committed to being the best version of myself. And so I learned that from a personal level, but then I also learned, Brent, the value of, I knew it, but I was reminded of the value of a brotherhood and friendship. Because when you couple that through just you walking alongside me, you know, just relationally, man, when we talk about, you know, we should never try to do life alone. You know, we should always have a strong community of people that can hold you accountable in every aspect of your life. And so I learned that I can really handle and do hard things. There's another gear inside me. But then I was also reminded, I know it's not fully the question, but I was reminded of the real value and benefits of authentic community. You know,
that's how you're different. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
You know, how I'm different is this, and I'm just gonna be really honest, Jeff. Is I am at a place of, okay, that was too much. So I'm kind of coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's no, I don't like, I don't use phrases, and I'm, you know, there's a bullish part of me that is unhealthy, and I admit that it's sinful, where I refuse to use words like I'm never gonna burn out. No, I've learned what fatigue feels like. This year. I'm different that way. I'm a fatigued version of myself in some ways, and I'm correcting that. But I know that that's the case, because one of the things I learned is that the paradigm by which I do life, whether it's leading my family, leading this ministry, whatever it may be, adding the Wander box. Let's just add 4 books on top of everything else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the paradigm reflects my personality, which means the responsibility lies solely at my feet. And so I've fatigued myself. Now, my batteries are recharging this month. We've created a healthy rhythm for the following year to kind of course correct some of that. But I'm different because I did too much. You know? And then there were things that were unexpected, Jeff. I mean, we're on quite a journey personally with our family. We've shared some of that on this podcast. But the reality is, when you take the fact that you're in a battle at home, and then you're trying to do more at work, and you've subtracted nothing in the big scheme of things, you look up at the end of that year and you go, well, how am I different? I'm fatigued, and I need to learn from that. I need to learn from that. And what I wrote down was, this whole paradigm reflects my personality, and that's not. We got to fix that. Well, no, I mean, listen, I echo that, because that was going to be what I've learned, is that sometimes less can be more. You know, and I think that's what I've learned too. You know, I also learned, Brent, that that you can adjust without compromising. And because I think we live in, as we've talked about before, and we'll talk about some more in the weeks to come, you know, we live in this polarized culture and society that, you know, you've seen a lot of people just kind of move the goalposts on, you know, their value systems, their belief systems, you know, what they will say is acceptable and what's not acceptable. You know, it's blurry lines. And what I've learned just through watching how this our polarized culture and society has just kind of evolved and grown, this monster has grown over the last really couple of years, that, you know, I've learned, no, you know what,
I can be countercultural.
Yeah.
You know, I can kind of go against the grain, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, as a person who can be in the, I'm wired the way where, you know, if I'm in the room and 1,000 people say, Jeff, you're awesome, but that one says, man, you're not so awesome. I really kind of tend sometimes to focus on that one who says you're not that awesome. I mean, it's just the way I'm wired sometimes.
And yet the truth is, we're not really supposed to focus on either.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like,
exactly.
you get caught up either way.
Exactly. But you know, I've learned that, man, no, I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm a citizen of heaven. You know, and you talk about pilgrimage, like we're on this journey to the heavenly country. There is a responsibility and obligation I have to God, my Father, to the word that he's given us as the compass and guide for our lives, and to the people that I am entrusted to lead and do life with.
That's right.
And so for me, man, I've learned, and again, I'll use again from number one, reminded, now, you know what, I'm going to stay true to who I am and who I'm called to be, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. And so,
before I answer the question, I just want a word of warning for anybody that may listen. If any of you fools call me old after I give my answer,
listen,
may the Lord bless and not
listen.
you.
Hey, I've been trying to. I just want
I'm about to give an honest answer, but I call me old before I give this answer.
Hey man, listen,
I ain't old.
I am the oldest.
Every once in a while, I've got to remind my 17 now 18-year-old.
Yeah, man.
I can still body slam you, brother.
Yeah, bro. But just the difference now, Brent, is you'll do it, and then you're gonna go to the room, and you're gonna have to get some Bengay or something.
Yeah, but he won't know that.
You got to soak in some Epsom salt.
Here's what I learned.
Okay.
And I don't mean you know me well enough, brother, to know I'm not being arrogant when I say this. For the last 20 years, I've just kind of put it on my back and I've run forward and just carried everything I need to carry, and let's get it done.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I was, I was getting some neck injections. I get them about every couple of years for. I had a surgery on my neck years ago, and I don't really, take a ton of medicine, but still a lot of nerve pain there.
Yeah.
So the doctors want to put a little medicine in there to kind of be a pain blocker, especially in our day and age of opioid crisis. All that scares me to death.
Yeah, me and me both.
So I get the shots every couple of years. Well, there was something that went wrong. I didn't know it at the time, and obviously the guy giving the shots didn't either. A couple hours after the shots, I look up and both of my hands are paralyzed. I mean, folded over paralyzed.
It's crazy.
It was insane. And I thought something tried to shake it out.
Yeah.
You just don't know what to do. You never had anything like that happen before. And so my wife was like, "We gotta go to the emergency room."
Yeah.
So we went in the emergency room, and they were like, "You're not having a stroke, but something's blocking these nerves from communicating or whatnot with these fingers." And so I had to ride an ambulance. Never done that before.
Yeah.
And then go sit for 12 hours in an emergency room and be watched, and MRIs and all this stuff. And I had a little clotty thing that was up there that moved its way through and my neck. But, I learned, I've been sick. I've been down. I've been hurt.
Yeah.
I've been sleep deprived, and I'll still get it done.
Yeah.
There's been times that, say, for example, 201, where we had run so hard in the summer. But it used to be 201 was the very last thing in the summer. And I would show up about 3 years in a row, and you haven't slept all summer.
Yeah.
And you've spoken 4 times a day. And I would be so sick. I had the same thing every year. It was a chest thing and a throat thing, and I had a fever. But you can't not do it.
Right.
So Nikki would literally have somebody on the side of the stage with medicine. And I felt like a child one time because I stepped off, and there's one of our amazing alumni serving, and they have a cough syrup thing, and they literally hold out a spoon like a mom giving a kid some, and I went, this woman's keeping me drugged just to keep me going out on that stage.
Oh,
but
man.
You know what I couldn't do? I couldn't push through my hands being paralyzed.
Wow.
There was no way to just push through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a real wake up call. And so I learned that there are limits.
Yeah.
And I learned that I better respect those limits.
That's
because
good.
when I don't respect limits and I neglect health, I'm robbing from my own future, and we all are.
Yeah.
And so that was that's so simple. Everybody listening right now would go, duh, we have limits, you idiot, you should know what those are.
Right.
But there's some of us that are just, and you'll know who you are based on your personality. We all have weaknesses. Jeff, you have certain weaknesses. I have certain weaknesses.
Absolutely.
One of mine is I'll just figure it out. I'll put it on my back and I'll get it done.
Yep.
And you do that 20 years, and the Lord can use that, like that hustle and that grind and that, but that has to be a short-term paradigm, not a long-term lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And that kind of become my lifestyle, Jeff.
Yeah.
And when that becomes your lifestyle, something like a scare reminds you can't operate like that.
Yeah.
With that much stress, that much pace, that much responsibility, that much somewhere there has to be some release, some relief, some rest, something that is guarding your health, or else you're robbing from your own future.
Yeah.
So that was a big aha moment for me.
Yeah.
Question number 3 though. Let's very edifying positive note. What are you hoping for in 24?
Well,
on a self level. Like we're talking about how do we reflect? What do you hope for?
Yeah. That that I really take in questions 1 and 2. I think that's what I'm hoping for, is that, Brent, we can say this is how we're different all day.
Yeah.
We can talk about the things that we learn from all day. But if we don't ever apply those things to our everyday life, then, they're just words that we utter out of our mouth. People will tell us that, knowledge is powerful, but I think that's only 50% true. Because knowledge alone is just the acquisition of the gathering of information. What's powerful is the application of the information in which you gather. So when I know better, I need to do better. And so for my own personal life, man, I'm hoping to be better.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to take some of the lessons learned from 2023 and be a better version of myself in 2024. Man, I'm hoping, Brent, that the Lord will allow us to continue to do incredible ministry. I'm hoping that the Lord also blows our mind, in 2024.
Amen.
Like He blew our mind in 2023, and I'm just crazy enough to ask Him for a little more.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful. But if He does nothing else, let me make sure I say that.
We're gonna celebrate.
Yeah, we're gonna celebrate, and He's done enough. But man, I'm just hoping, brother. I'm just hoping for greater years ahead, even beyond 2024. And then, selfishly, I guess, spiritually, I'm hoping for peace in our land. Obviously, we know what is transpiring and going on overseas there in Israel and Gaza and all that. But we also know that there are some things that we have to deal with here in our own Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping for peace, man.
Yeah.
That we really will be a country that will be one nation under God, and so that's not just my hope for 2024, but it's my hope, for beyond, man. So
I'm hoping for, on a personal level, as I reflect and strategize as we think through the future, I really am hoping for a God ordained strategy for the next 20-year trajectory for our organization. One of the things that I've been tasked with and that I've been working on for the last several months is, the Lord's brought us this far in really the last 20 years. We've experienced year after year after year of growth outside of the pandemic. We even grew through the pandemic, but still, but what is now, a paradigm look like for the next 20 years? You can't live on yesterday's blessings.
Absolutely.
And you can't assume yesterday's favor. You have to, I think, do everything you can do reasonably. And so, this is a year where, for me as a leader with our ministry, I'm trying to put the pieces in place, the systems in place, the vision ultimately in place that is the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I love what we get to do, and I don't want to stop doing it.
Yeah.
I just want to do it better and smarter and wiser.
Yeah.
And honor the Lord. I mean, and of course, if it ever stops honoring Jesus, let's do something else. But that's a big hope for me. I'm hoping in 24 that there's a lot of clarity with that.
Yeah.
I think that we will have a lot of clarity with that by the time we get to the summer.
Yeah.
And that clarity ushers in a whole new era.
Yeah.
Of just amazing ministry that we get to do. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's my hope.
Yeah, that's
my
awesome.
hope. And my hope for all our listeners is that they would take time, Jeff, to reflect, and that as they take time to reflect, they could look back and acknowledge what God has done.
Yep.
But then they ask real questions about how are they different, what have they learned, and then how does that in turn translate into a future hope for them in the coming year. So I hope that you'll take that as we reflected on this year of miracles, and you'll put that paradigm to work in your own life. As always, and this is the last time you get to hear from us this year, we are so grateful, Jeff and I and our entire team, for allowing us to have a conversation like this on a platform like this with so many other people.
Yeah.
And I know, Jeff, you'll sign off your own way, but I'll simply sign off 2023 like I always do, and that is my prayer for you is that you would wander well and shine like stars.
And mine is just simply, make every effort you can and do everything you can every day of your life to be the best version of yourself. Happy New Year's, friends.
Happy New Year.
Take care.